Alright, today is about epilepsy, a brain malfunction, aka a seizure disorder. Now, it's similar to Tourette's, but only the difference is that the person can, for a certain amount of time, hold back on the tics before they just explode, and the longer they hold them in, the more painful it gets. With the sense of a person with epilepsy, the seizures cannot be held back. The brain's gonna pop and do its thing, and you're either gonna spaz and jerk, also known as convulse, or you're gonna become mad stiff and not able to move, or you'll just drop to the ground. I'm famous for those. Um, the ones where you stare off into space, and they're all complicated. The most annoying thing is like my house of residence, I'm dying to get out. I'm trying so hard to get out. They deem my seizures a joke, but seizures are not a joke. They can kill people if they go on for too long, and I'm surprised I'm still here after hours worth of them without an Ativan. Um, the person may look like they're having one, and they probably are, but even the person who's having one will not look like they're having one. Like sometimes a kid will space out in class and they'll have their name called, but they won't hear you because they are not directly fully conscious. They're not fully there. They're not fully with the environment. Pardon me. Um, yeah, and then there are ones where the person will drop to the ground, and those hurt. Um, I've had some pretty scary ones where I've fallen into my house, where I went up the stair and then just dropped into the house. Another one was where I was out fishing and I drop attacked onto my fishing pole. I'm lucky I didn't get the hook in me. It's, yeah, no. The one thing is that happens a lot is people think that epilepsy and seizures are a joke, and people are just purposely jerking and spazzing out just for attention. No. Seizures are actually a thing. It's when your brain goes into hard drive and starts firing the neurons way faster than it should, and then it just goes nuts. Let's say you're in a crowd, okay? And one person is trying to talk to you, but then tries talking to another, and everybody then suddenly starts trying to talk to you and cross talk, and you're trying to talk to everybody else. At some point, that's going to become overwhelming. Hence the seizure. The brain becomes overloaded and pops. It's an overload of electrical signals, aka an overload of people. That was just my analogy. Um, the thing with mine is that, like, my group home does not take it seriously, and especially if they go for 4 hours. Yeah, no, that's not pretty. My fiance had to call the ambulance for me because I was not able to, and she had to. I was half conscious. I was able to, like, whimper, but not actually, like, talk, and then sometimes I'd lose the ability to talk. Now, that's the thing. Because that is something that can happen, they thought I was faking it or not having a seizure. They even blamed it on my fiance that she was causing my seizures, when in reality, the group home was causing my seizures. Like, she called because I was in status epilepticus, which is where when a seizure goes beyond 5 minutes. And mine on record have gone for 4 hours. They go for like 5 minutes, have a 30-second interval, and then pick up again. But the challenge is the group home just kind of laughs at the seizures. Like, I've had one where I got so stressed out, I collapsed in my bathroom, and I've never collapsed before. I collapsed into the bathroom, hit my head really hard on several things, and I was unconscious for hours. I didn't get any help, and nobody did nothing. And that's the thing. Seizures need help, like, need medical help. unless you have a seizure disorder and that's typical for you, then that's okay. But I don't usually drop like that. And usually, aside from my experiences, seizures usually go between like 30 seconds to a few minutes max on average. But then there are ones that go too long, which is requiring like a quote unquote rescue med, which is benzos are actually like really good for that. It is really easy to get like attached to them. So they are only in last resort, in my opinion, and many other opinions. But again, seizures can kill, and people don't take it seriously. People need to take it seriously. At least luckily nowadays there are devices that alert you. Mine don't work. My apps suck. They don't do it. And my group home refuses to get me the stuff required. Like, I need out. And from that, it's also the fact that you have medications that can help not monitor, but reduce the seizures and increase your threshold. So, like, for instance, I'm on Lamictal, which is not just a med for mood stabilizing, but it's also a med for seizures. So I'm on it for several reasons. But let's say, for instance, if I were to explain different types, there are tonic clonic, which were used to be known as the grand mal, but they're not anymore because, believe it or not, grand mal is the French word for seriously ill. And you're not ill. And petit mal is kind of like an absence. That's mildly ill. And no, again, you're not ill because you have seizures. Your brain just gets fried and decides to manifest, have a party, and forget your consciousness. So with a tonic clonic, you're usually gonna, like, they usually include a loss of consciousness where you're gonna hit the ground most likely, or if you're in your bed, you're safe. That's usually how it goes for me, but except that time. But from that, you'll most likely start convulsing or jerking rapidly. And that's how that works. You're convulsing. A lot of the time you foam at the mouth, and I do this, but a lot of times you foam at the mouth and sometimes you vomit. I'm lucky to actually rarely do that because it tastes gross and I have a trauma to it. And then eventually when you are done seizing, also known as having a fit, but I feel like, pardon me, that is just rude because it doesn't just affect the adults, it also affects younger people and seniors and actually animals. It affects animals too. But again, there are ones called absence seizures, which is where you'll just stop what you're doing and kind of just like stare into space. And I have those frequently. Like you don't even really know where you are and you'll just like forget everything. My fiance is really patient with me about this, and some people may not be as patient. But if you have the seizure, and I hope people are going to understand and accept that that is not in your control, that you're spacing out and quote unquote not listening. You are, but you're not fully conscious or aware. So how are you supposed to answer to your name? You're not supposed to. There are other ones known as atonic, which means that you go limp and just hit the floor or wherever you are, or on your bed. It's still lucky, but you'll just drop and then you'll be like, oh. Again, I don't remember if I've said this, but I've been fishing and I drop attacked onto my fishing pole. And I was lucky to not get stabbed by the hook. I have drop attacked into my house a couple of times. Um, Other people can drop attack into like rooms or into objects or onto people. Um, the neurotonic ones where you just become mad rigid and stiff. That has not really happened to me, but it happens to others. Now, there are many, many, many more, and I can say there are sometimes people who get something called an a quote unquote aura, also known as the warning sign. But a lot of people don't get that. I mean, I can't fully describe what an aura is because it's different for everyone. Like a common one is deja vu, but I often get deja vu because I go traveling a lot. Like there are also ones where that are sensory, where you think you're smelling something that's not there. Like I smell popcorn, but other people may smell something else. My brain just died for a second because I actually just went into a mini absence episode at the moment, so I'm slightly embarrassed about that. Um, Apologize for dropping into one. Uh, yeah, and when that happens to me, I forget everything I was talking about or saying, so bear with me. There are also ones where there are other seizures where you repeatedly do something over and over. It's different than a tic, like I said, it's different than a tic from Tourette's, because in the seizure, you are doing it rapidly, or like every 5 seconds. And it's not in your control because your brain is having a party and forgot your consciousness. And I can answer any questions that you may have, so drop them into the comments. Yeah, again, I say this to all of the other ones. I have finally found my Discord, but I had to reset it because I lost the backup for the two-step. So I'll drop a link to that, and you can get all the mental health support or any other kind of support or education on any of my topics, because I have no problem explaining anything more than once. So that's it for right now on epilepsy because my brain is fried from that absence episode. And I will see you guys at the next time.